Welcome back to JB Reviews. I did a video on what I hated about my truck, and as you guys know, I gotta do a video on what I love about it. So let's go ahead and pop the hood and start there. I don't know if I can show it to you guys. It should be deep down in there, but this truck does have a Denso HP4 fuel pump and injectors. If you don't know, Denso is a component part that Toyota uses primarily for their vehicles, and we all know that Toyota is known for reliability. And I love the fact that they did change from the CP4, which was probably one of the worst decisions they did back in the day. But the good news is they fixed the issue, and I haven't heard much noise about this fuel pump having issues. So I think that this is probably one of the most reliable options on the market. Number two, they do have this 10-speed stamp of approved Allison, which I think is probably one of the best transmissions on the market. The gears are really deep, and if you put it in manual mode, this transmission gives you great downshifts. The third thing I love about this truck is the 12-inch ring gear. Anytime you get a 3500, this is what you're going to have. And one thing I notice is when you go from 0 to 60 from a dig, I feel like you get all the power off the line. I've raced one of my friends that had a Ford F350 with the Power Stroke. That truck had, what, 475 horsepower, I think, and I believe it had 1,050 pound-feet of torque, and my truck got him off the line. Because I think that sometimes Ford will start you in second gear, and when you add it all up, I think this is probably one of the best powertrains with the reliability. Number 4, there's little to no chrome on this truck. Now, I'm not a huge fan of chrome, and the bright trim pieces that you see, this is like a carbon gray, as they call it, I believe. I call it black chrome. It has a really nice appearance. Now there is some bright chrome around the emblem, but that's really all you see on the front. Down below you still have that carbon gray color, and you have a machine look for the wheels, but they're mostly blacked out. The mirror caps and around the windows all blacked out. So as I mentioned, you don't have a lot of bright chrome on this truck. Number 5. This is one of my favorite front ends on any truck. I love the bold styling. I love how high the hood sits. It's very like in your face, and it's very clean too, so it's not too overwhelming. And when you don't have like a lot of chrome like the Denali, I think it just finishes it really well. The sixth thing I love about my GMC is the placement of the block heater. Now on my Ram, they used to put it, or they still do put it on the front, on the lower part of the grill, and it's kind of hard to get to. On my GMC, they do put it right on the side here. They do provide a plug for you to plug into that you plug into your outlets. And if you want, you can pretty much run it over the mirrors. That way you don't forget about it. So I like the simplicity of it, and I like the ease of use. Now my 7th point I'm going to make is something I actually hated in the last video, but the independent front suspension makes this truck ride like a half ton, or if you're under load. And even though a lot of people don't agree with this on HDs, I do like it. If you don't plan on really towing a trailer that much, you're going to really enjoy the ride you get with the GMC. And staying down here, the Goodyear Wrangler Trail Runner tires are a great addition to this truck. They have low noise, and they have the perfect aggression. And they are a 34-inch tire. So from the factory, you get a pretty tall tire that's actually kind of wide too. And they have like a really good appearance on this big HD. Now number 9, we're going to talk about the transfer case, but instead of me climbing down there, I could just show it to you here. You do have an automatic button here, so if you are like in an area that gets a lot of snow, but you don't want to drive around in 4-wheel drive, you can just put it in auto, and whenever the rear wheels slip, it will engage the front axle to spin too. That way you don't lose traction. I believe Ford added that for 2023, but Ram does not have that still. The 10th thing I love about my GMC is this LED strip that runs side to side on my running board. Now these are power deployable running boards. At night, when you unlock the truck, it does light up the entire road surface that you're on, and it looks really nice. Number 11, the side steps. Now there was a point I made in the last video that I didn't like, that they held a lot of dirt out back, but if you need to hook in your gooseneck trailer or your fifth wheel or unhook it, this is useful for that. If you tow on the road, you're gonna love my 12th point. So when I have my Ram, The location of the diesel fill was kind of awkward, so if you were at a truck stop, it was really hard to get that nozzle in there without really damaging the side, so you had to kind of put it in at an angle, and it wasn't high flow. The diesel fill on this truck is high flow, so if you're at a diesel truck stop, you can fill this truck up in record time. Not only that, your DEF is also high flow, so you don't have to worry about damaging this system, and it will click off once it's done. Here's my 13th point. This truck has a 6-foot 10-inch bed. This is probably one of the biggest beds in this segment. I think Ford is like a 6.8-inch bed, but 6'10", and I feel as though it makes the truck look aesthetically nicer and pleasing to the eye versus the shorter bed. So in my opinion, I think that you can take more stuff with you, and it makes the truck look actually like an HD truck. And with that being said, if you have a longer bed, you should have more clearance. But guess what? GM took it a step further. You can see right there, that's the center line for the wheel well. And you can see that the fifth wheel prep package is slightly behind that line, because normally that's where the fifth wheel package would be, right here. But they did move it back, and it gives you more clearance and does not affect towing. I was always warning that in the past. Will that affect towing? Because the weight is not 100% over the axle. It's actually slightly behind it, but not by much. You can still see it down there. Also, this is not one of my points. The placement of the plugs is a lot more convenient compared to the other two. My 15th point is they do give you 2 overload leaf springs. Ford gives you 1, Ram gives you none. However, I will say Ram does give you an option for air suspension. You just have to pay $1,800 for that. Now, one thing I like about this is a little bit more robust suspension. They do give you 5 leaves in the main pack here. And when these bump stops do engage with these leaves, it does help stability a lot, especially when you're towing a 2,500 pound pin weight trailer. My 17th point was actually something I hated in my last video, but the 342s are great for fuel economy, and you do run lower RPMs, which is going to give you better fuel economy. Now, if you do plan on running a taller tire, these might affect you a little bit, but all in all, the way that they gear this truck is perfect, and I think that you have great performance, and like I said, you do have the benefit of better fuel economy. My 18th point is these trucks are easy to spec from the factory, and what I mean by that is this. It's really hard for me to buy a truck off the lot because I'm very picky. So 9 times out of 10, I order my trucks. But I do like how they optioned some of the AT4s. You have these higher trim levels that pretty much add everything to them, like the running boards, the 20-inch wheels. They come standard with LED headlights, so there's not a lot you really need. And because this truck has those 2 overload leaf springs, with Ram, I would prefer to have the factory airbags installed. But all in all, like, this truck is just easy to spec from the factory compared to the other 2. And with that being said, this truck is $87,550, right? There's really only like 1 or 2 other options that this truck needs to be like completely specced out with everything. And those things I would care less to have. So, as I mentioned, the price point on this truck is really good. It's under $90,000, and if you're looking at a 2024, you can get it pretty much the exact same way with the new interior, under $90,000. The Ram 2500 Rebel that just came out this year costs over $90,000, and you do not get half the stuff this truck has. And keep in mind, you don't have the payload either. The Ford trimmer, if you get the high output PowerStep, which is the only diesel available with the trimmer, that truck's gonna probably cost closer to $100,000. So you're gonna probably pay at least $10,000 more for the Ford, and probably like $6,000 or $7,000 more for the Ram, and it's a 3/4 ton. Number 20, heads-up display. Now, this was something else I didn't like in the last video. However, I do love the fact that they give you the miles per hour and the speed limit up here. So when you're traveling, when the speed limit changes, you don't have to take your eyes off the road. You don't have to look down at the navigation. It's right there, front and center. Number 21, you have a tilt and telescoping steering wheel. When I had my Ram, it was not telescoping, and trust me when I say this, this gives you more like flexibility when you want to get comfortable in the truck. Number 22, we're getting close to the end here, guys. The camera views for the trailer. This is something that I love. Like whenever you were making a left or right hand turn, they would give you the camera view on that side on the screen here. And if I have some footage, I'll show it to you here. I love that they gave that to you because that was very helpful. If you were new to towing, you could see where those back tires are going so you don't curb your tires on your trailer, potentially popping them. My 23rd thing I love about this truck is the 360 camera views. I also like how easy it is to use this system. So if you want to turn off the bird's eye view, you just pop that button right there. If you want to see the rear, if you want to see a different camera angle right there for the back, same thing. And check this out, if you want the bed, it's right there. It's all in one spot. You have this arrow to go left and right, and it's just super easy to do. Now you guys know I love my mega cab, right? My 24th point is in the GMC up front, the cab feels noticeably bigger. And that's probably in part to my Ram having a cab from 2009. So Ram did not upgrade the cabs back in 2019, so they're still using basically the same cab. So with this truck being redesigned in 2020, you have noticeably more like space up front, especially if you're tall or if you have a taller torso. I feel like you would feel comfortable inside this truck. Now my 25th point is going to shock some people. You ready for this? I love how simple the interior is. Believe it or not, buying this truck and trading in my Ram was really tough, but when it came down to learning the Apple CarPlay, all the knobs and buttons, this is very simple to use. The interior doesn't look that great, but it does grow on you. And I think that the accents that they give you and just the overall appearance, it just looks nice. And I like the fact that they give you the black roof with the black interior versus like a gray roof. Now the 27th thing I love about this truck is the cooled seats and the fact that you can actually adjust where you want the heat to go. You can either have it on your back and bottom or just your back. And the cooled seats, they actually suck the air inside of the seat, which actually gives it a better cooling effect versus some that push the air out of the seat. The 28th thing I love about this truck is the seat back storages. I thought this was the coolest, most innovative thing I've ever seen when they showed this back in 2019, I think, on the Chevy half tons. And it's very unassuming too. Like you see this strap here, but for the most part, it just looks like a regular seat. But I like that they did that. Some put it on the floor, but I do like this the best. Number 29, we're getting to the end here, guys. This truck has a trailering information sticker. Ford doesn't do this, Ram doesn't do this. If you're ever looking for a truck and you need to know what the gross combined weight rating is, if you want to know what the truck weighs on the curb, all that information is right here at your fingertips. Now, obviously you can figure out the curb weight by taking the GVWR and then subtracting it from the payload, which is right here, and that'll give you the curb weight. But GM just puts it here for you, and they also put the towing capacity and what they recommend for the tongue weight and gooseneck pin weight. Number 30, if you want to level your truck but you're broke like I am, you don't have to buy a leveling kit for this truck. I believe you can level this truck by turning something under it. I just actually figured this out not long ago, but you can actually level, I think, like 1.3 inches. I think this is most you can go, and that way you don't have to necessarily go buy something to get it leveled. So I love that about this truck, and you can change the appearance basically for free as long as you know how to use a tape measure. But thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it was helpful. I'm actually headed to trade this truck in, so that's why I did this video today. I did love this truck, and I am going to do a verdict on whether I do recommend this and if I do truly miss my Ram. See you guys soon.